Welcome to our Wednesday webinar series hosted by the Washington, D.C. chapter of the National Black MBA Association. We are so pleased to have you joining us this evening for this special segment on wealth building and international business startup. My name is Mima Richards, and I am the chapter's current treasurer and past VP of development. Before I introduce our special guest for today, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge our DC chapter board members who are in attendance. I would like to thank our president, Dr. Lamar T. White, for his continued efforts to drive professional development and advancement of our members. Just to highlight a few chapter accomplishments. We were an award-winning chapter for 2020 at the national level. We are a fully functioning board, meaning all board positions are currently filled. Our chapter participated in a Juneteenth Day of Service with our corporate partner, Raymond James, where we assembled care packages for at-risk populations. Within the past few months, we signed off on 3 college scholarships to our Leaders of Tomorrow students. I'll repeat that. Within the past few months, we have signed off on 3 college scholarships to our Leaders of Tomorrow students. We are extremely proud of our accomplishments of the chapter. We're fulfilling on our promise of adding value to our members and our corporate partners. Our Wednesday webinar series, for example, have helped connect our members to personal trainers and coaches, qualified realtors, financial advisors, healthcare consultants, and more. We are proud of the impact these Wednesday webinar series are having in the lives of our members and community. We encourage your continued feedback. Let us know what we're doing well and what topics you would like introduced in this series. And now the moment you're here for. Today, we are joined by 2 special guests of the Manja Collection. They will tell the story of their international brand. But before we get started, let's run a short clip to give you some background. Hey, thank you. Kathy Eastman, one of our guests for today, is originally from Liberia, West Africa. She attended the Georgetown University Madonna School of Business, where she obtained her master's degree in executive leadership. Kathy started her professional career as a scientist and transitioned to her passion, which is fashion and wardrobe styling. Her styling journey led her to work in New York City for designers such as Donna Karan, Prada, Michael Kors, Lorenz Scott, and others. Her work has been featured in several well-known publications. She has styled for celebrities and other high-profile clients. Her brand, Allen V. May, provides creative direction and brand management services. Her journey has taken her to collaborate with Emeka Obiamiwe to establish the Manja Collection. Emeka Obiamiwe's background is in multimedia communications and events management. He regularly serves as a guest lecturer and motivational speaker nationally and internationally. Emeka's love for the fashion industry began while in exile during the Liberian Civil War, when he started an apparel line named Royal Clothing. This line infused African fabrics into urban styles. In 2019, he was approached by a civil advocacy group to promote the local Liberian country cloth. He decided to urbanize the traditional Liberian fabric into an outer coat. And he presented samples of his original work while at a conference in Rwanda. These samples became an instant hit. His journey has now taken him to collaborate with Kathy Eastman to establish the Manja collection. So welcome, Kathy and Emeka.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next one.
I don't know.
Having just read your bios to our audience, tell us a bit more about yourself. What inspired or motivated you to get started on this path of international business? And I'll start with Emeka.
Well, basically, like I say, I've always looked for ways and means of promoting Liberia. And I've always been a part of the arts and culture. I grew up in Kinija, which is the only arts and culture center in Liberia. But the Country Club, like I say, 3 years ago, in 2019, was introduced. I mean, I went to a meeting and the civil advocacy group goes like, we want you to promote the country club and the country rice, which is brown rice. It's very organic. And I took it, ran with it, went to a conference in Rwanda and everybody loved it. I came home and fell in love with it. The fabric was different than the traditional one. Because I have signers. The traditional one is made from cotton and it's not blended right. And I started researching that. They have invested money into making it better and comparable to others in the diaspora, like the Kente from Ghana or the Adire and the Ashoke from Nigeria. And then I saw that it had identity and it still needed work. So I researched on the paperwork or that was done with it by universities in the States and the ones here, and found out that they had a lot of economic potential to go places, economics value that could have, gave people money and make people's lives better from the different region it was woven in. And so since 2019, it's been my passion. And then that's when I partnered in with my partner, Kathy, and we just took it to the next level. Yeah.
Thank you, Emeka. Kathy?
Yes, for me, I've been inspired in two ways. First of all, I love.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, Kathy. There is an echo because I think you're on 2 devices.
I'm only on one. Let's see, how's that?
That's better.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I love everything about style, as it relates to wardrobe, as it relates to spaces, our day-to-day. And so actually the opportunity to design and create with Manja has really allowed me to flourish in that creative space to produce something that's tangible and is unique to my culture in Liberia. Another thing too that I'm very inspired by Manja is I see Manja as, I consider us, stylish and cultural economic gatekeepers. We're gatekeepers to our producers. When I say producers, I mean our weavers, the design and style teams and artisans that we work with to provide some economic value to them. And also to the consumer who has the opportunity to really participate and get close to something unique to Liberia and something of the land. So that's really been the source of my inspiration with really being part of the Manja team.
Thank you, Kathy. So this question is directed to Emeka. What is it like running the business from on site, meaning Liberia?
It's challenging. It's first of all, the whole country club was, everybody just did it for single individuals. And now comes in a group that says we want to do it for a fashion line. So everybody's like, how is that possible? Is it going to work? I remember the first time we approached different, we're trying to find tailors to actually sew this. And every one of them said, no, it can't work. Country cloth could only be done with tunic, big shirts. They're like, we cannot do it. We push them. It's very challenging, but we've been pushing it, and we've worked with a couple of teams and built up a team right now who are working on styling patterns, and it's coming together. But it is very challenging organization here in terms of time frame, in terms of deliverables, in terms of color. If you just leave them to do their colors, it's a big mistake. So you have to be there. It's a process in doing this whole weaving, and you should see it, where they take the thread, they wrap it around, and they do it on the loom and everything. If you're not there, somebody will make some color just because they love that color. And then you get back, and then it's a whole rigmarole. So right now we have our patterns, we have our style, we have our, the different lineage in it and everything. And we've actually succeeded a little bit because the challenges are still there. Because if you're not there and you're not on top of it, they're going to give you what they won't give you. Straight up to the tailors and everything. It's challenging. And you can't find materials. You got to source your own materials. Most times we have to bring in materials in the country, like lining, buttons, and everything has been challenging. But like I said, we're up to the challenge. This is what we do. And this is what we want to do. And we get in there little by little.
And it's also, to add to that, it's also been an opportunity to really allow these individuals to really think outside the box, right? Because, our cultural norms are in place. So we are used to our ways of working. We're used to doing things one kind of way. And so this has been an opportunity for us to be able to stretch these artisans a little bit more and show them that, yeah, you can do this. You can reimagine this fabric. See, you thought you couldn't, but guess what? You're doing this. So when you do that, it provides a little bit more of a confidence, for them to even do more. And hopefully that will be able to scale their business and bring more economic value in the long term.
Great, thank you, Kathy. And what about you, Kathy? You are here on ground in the U.S. What is it like running the business from the U.S.?
Yeah, so first of all, being here in the U.S. has been a real advantage because we've been able to receive real-time feedback on what it is that we're producing. So a focus here in the U.S. is really about sales marketing and brand positioning. And we've had an opportunity through our e-commerce setup that we have. We are an e-commerce based business. And we host pop-up events. We have visitations to our showroom. And I actually prefer, and I love the one-on-one, especially in the emerging stage of the business, that we can have that access to our feedback from the consumer. Emeka and I joke all the time, we're building the plane and flying it at the same time. I guess in the business world, that would be we're doing our proof of concept along the way. So when we get that immediate feedback from our customers, we can course correct, and it's making us better. We're learning, there have been a lot of lessons learned, and we can produce something that we know the market is going to respond to. That's also very important too, because as we're creating and designing, sometimes we think we know what the consumer wants, right? But then we have it all figured out. And then in Liberia, we say, that customer didn't even pick it up or lay it down, so meaning it was something that was not interesting to them. So being in the US, doing business here in the US has been really, really good to get that real-time feedback for us as we're in the startup mode for this business.
Okay. Well, thank you. So what I'm hearing is you guys have really, there are challenges, but you have faced these challenges head on, and you're learning through the process. And I will follow up with that with Emeka in my next question, in terms of you've already mentioned about working with the local vendors, right? And that they have always viewed the country cloth in one way, whereas they're wearing it as a tunic. But tell me, how do you, and you know, the African culture is all about respect. How do you continue to respect what they value, right? And at the same time, bringing in your new idea, you know, for this country cloth and for your business as well. How are you working with these vendors on that level?
I always try to educate them first by sitting them down and say, it is like this. You know, like I always show them other countries. You know, most times I get on my phone and I print stuff and say, look at this. I believe we can do this, but we have to be original about what we have, you know. And I'm like, we can get here one day. We can accomplish this if we just stay focused with the plan. Because most times, if we're not focused, we're going to be all over the place. And I'm like, because sometimes when they do the cloth, I'll give you an example. The other day, a girl brought some materials to me. Actually, it was a print from Ethiopia. And I'm like, this print is not Liberian. I mean, you just went online practically and saw this and did it. But I'm like, look at it. It's from Ethiopia. I cannot take this. We cannot take this. We have a Liberia. It's scraps. But at the same time, we're trying to perfect it. Listen, the African fabric, I was just telling Kathy the other day, and I was watching a documentary. Each African fabric tells a story. And that is what, and if Kathy goes on the line, we've been trying to create a story behind each fabric. We have a name for each of the style, and we have a name, and we're trying to create a name for each of the fabric. We also want to distinguish the colors and the fabric to have a name, a traditional name, and a storyline that goes along with it. We're building this plane and while we're flying it, but we're flying it to reach the space. And we hopeful. So we try to put pride in that. What you're doing is going international. We show them the pictures, the finished product. I show them the picture like, is this real country cloth? This coat? Oh, we believe. So they've now seen a pride. And what I intend to do in the next 1 or 2 is to print large pictures and let them hang it in their homes to give them a sense of pride that they're a part of it. And even put a documentary, we're putting a documentary around them, bits and pieces, and also helping to build better institutions. Want more women. We're trying to empower women with this process. It's a thing where women do, men do. But for me, I'm a he for she champion. So we more about the women, giving women empowerment through this process.
Thank you so
And
much.
they get paid in full. So
Thank you so much for saying this, because at Black MBA, this is the year of women empowerment, and that's something that we're highlighting. So we're so happy about that. And I want to follow up with one question with you in terms of the relationship you do have with these vendors. So many times we've heard of Westerners coming in pretty much taking advantage of, the Africans in terms of, like not really paying them their right dues. So how do you maintain a relationship with your vendors, make sure they're fully compensated? You talked about having weekly meetings with them and whatnot, and how your business has helped their families. Can you expand on that a little bit more for me?
Well, like I say, every one of our vendors are like family. Because, in Africa, when you're the breadwinner, there's one breadwinner that takes care of a family of 12 or 24, so now 30. As long as you're making money, everybody's going to be coming after you for money. So what I try to do while on the ground is, whenever I get a vendor, I tend to know you, who you are, where you are, because most time we're pre-financed. We give them some cash. You got to know about them. You got to know about the person. Somebody will be going to school, encourage them to go to school. But never, I always said, never see this as a side hustle. See it as something that tomorrow it can be, you can say, I helped build. So my relationship with them is absolutely good. They see me as a brother. They see us as friends. They see Manja as a thing they all help building. And I tell them, we all doing this together. Even though I'm paying you for service, but at the same time, I'm showing you respect. And we've been trying to, even like some young ladies are doing this, we're looking at the possibility of helping them pay their school fees and giving them stuff, raise stuff for them. and get it to them yet, because they never have enough. You know what I mean? Let's take, for example, the prices we pay. We never underpay them. We've always, the value, the market value is what we pay them. We ask them first. We do our research. How much is this? They say this. We're paying you exactly, but what we're gonna do, we're paying you and we're buying volume. So we're giving you more.
Okay.
We're giving you more. But then at the
Absolutely.
same time, if you're doing business with this, get ready when when this person family, they have issues like school fees, they're gonna come to you. Oh, Mr. Emeka, I need school fees. You got to give that money in advance. Or somebody died, you got to give. A birthday, you got to give. So at the end of the day, they become family.
Yeah.
You know, you got to look out for them. You know,
Yeah.
and that's all we've been doing.
Yeah, and just to add to that, thank you for that, Emeka. One of the things too is as we are, because remember when I talked about like cultural norms, in Liberia, we don't really have a lot of production or manufacturing types of setting or set up. So everyone is, you know, making ends meet. So what we're doing now with them as we're growing is we're trying to create this mindset. So as we are giving them business, we're trying to encourage them to think bigger in everything it is that they do. As they're thinking bigger, we're showing them the fruits of their labor so they can see, you know, the quality. This is what you're doing. And this is when you do more of this and scale it, this is the impact that it will have on you as something that's sustainable long-term. So that's one of the areas we're really, really trying to continue to work with the vendors to help to change their mindset as to how they're approaching, you know, their craft, and to think, you know, like long-term in the future, because they have to provide.
Thank you,
And
Kathy.
let me just come in to close on that. A few weeks ago, I went to see the weavers, and one of our major weaver, she said to me, "Oh, Emeka, I'm praying for y'all so that you guys can go and make some money and open a factory because I want to be boss lady." So I would tell people that I was there from the beginning. That's the mindset we have created with them. Margaret is so excited. Margaret is already bossy, and she's like about color and everything. Margaret will fight to say, "This is the color. This is not the color." So Margaret is already dreaming about being a boss in a factory, and that's what they never had before.
Absolutely. And I did speak with Emeka and Kathy before this, and I learned that currently they do have a core team of about 12 members, which is great, because what Emeka explained to me is that although there's a core team of 12 members, those 12 members are actually maybe feeding a village, which may be equal to 100 individuals. So that's how business works in Africa. So we're just so thankful for what you're doing. We at Black MBA, we want to be known that we supported your business from the very beginning. We are supporters of you, and we're just so excited for the work that you're doing. So let's now pivot. Let's pivot and talk about the process of setting up this business. And I know that this question is going to be directed toward Kathy. Because we do have a couple of people who may be listening, who may be right now tuning in, and they want to know, well, what is the process to start an international business, right? So Kathy, can you go ahead and tell us the process in setting up the business, application process, the legal journey, etc.?
Yeah, well, for us, we made a decision that we wanted to start up and be registered in the US. And so the first thing that we had to do was register, well, when we, you know, determine what our name was, we registered our name. Well, we wanted to make sure that it was available. We registered our name, and we registered the business to be able to obtain an EIN number. So we registered as an LLC, which is a limited liability corporation. And that, for us, that made the most sense. And when we did register as an LLC, then we were then able to obtain our EIN. So EIN is the employer identification number. So there are several entities that you can use to register your business. You can do sole proprietor, LLC, and then it gets into corporations, S corps, C corps. Sole proprietor is, you will be fully responsible for any liabilities if someone needed to come, sue you, for your business. Limited liability corporation made the most sense for us because we're in a partnership. And if there are any liabilities that need to be taken care of, then it will come after our assets with the business. S corp, and that's when you're looking at shareholders and so forth. So we aren't there as of yet. Hopefully one day. So another thing that for us being a retail-based company, we had to obtain a sales and use tax license to be able to, purchase at a wholesale level. And there are a couple of other things that we're in the process of doing along the way as we are finalizing our brand, especially the apparel piece. There are other things that we have to have in place that are specific to the apparel market, and we're working on getting that situated. So our partnership, we have, legal documents outlining, ownership for both Emeka and I. So that's important too, to be able to really identify what that partnership looks like. And there should be some type of legal documentation in place for that. So that's a gist of, getting the business started. And of course, then you're opening bank accounts, you're setting up your website, you're setting up your social media platforms, and getting marketing materials and so forth.
This sounds like a very tedious process, but thank you so much for sharing that with us, Kathy. Listen, if you're listening today and you need more information about starting, doing an international startup, I'm very sure that Kathy and Emeka will be more than happy to speak to you about the process. It is a process. It's not something that you do overnight, but again, this is something that you can work on and establish your own brand and get it and start this journey. Well, thank you so much for explaining that to us. Well, let's now, Emeka, let us pivot back to you and let's talk now. Tell us, let's talk about your brand, Manja, because Manja is very unique, right? From any other brands, especially in Africa as a whole. So take some time out and tell us about the Manja collection and the Manja brand.
Basically, I mean, over the last few days, I've heard from a lot of people, including myself, this is my first time wearing country cloth.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, whoa, yeah, I mean, even myself. I mean, wearing this when I first wore that 3 years ago, going to Rwanda, was my first time wearing country cloth. Because the way it was packaged wasn't unique. I'm always about, if I have to wear something from the motherland, it had to be packaged right. Tailors would just sew it. It wasn't style. It wasn't anything. And the brand is evolving over the last few months and years. It's evolving from designs to even the way it is produced. When we first started, I was telling Kathy the other day, we were amateurs, I would say, in that regard. The pattern, the lines, even the weaving wasn't too tight to me. Some of them. And a lot of times that we will have to weave, they usually come in lapa. Lapa is 2 yards, and we have to just take some out. We can't use this, But right now, we're getting there. The brand is now standing out to be comparable that we see in a year or two where we will be. And like we said, we're now making fabric for clothes, coats. We're making fabric for jackets. We're making fabric for household products. We're making different kinds now. There's a differentiation. What should be coats, the thickness, the different way it is made, what should be for a jacket, what could be for suits. So everything now is evolving. And what we see now with Manja is practically building a whole new fashion industry. And that is our dream, because our dream is to build a fashion industry that stands out. We want that word, like we say, in a year or two, instead of the word country cloth, we want it to be known as Manja. So every time you wear it, you feel like a Manja. And the history of the Manja thing is, when you wear Manja means chief, and a ruler, an elder. So we want you, whenever you wear it, it's not only wearing it, but wear it with style, grace, and know that you carry the whole culture on top of your shoulder. And Kathy will elaborate more on that from the more fashionistic point. That's a mojo,
Right. Well, I just wanted to say, like, if you are on camera and you're seeing us, you'll see that the three of us are actually wearing coats made by Manja, and I'm at my desk, and I have a desk runner. What's it called? Like a streamer, and that I'm using that as my desk runner, and that's from the Manja collection. And there are pillowcases. There are so many different ways that this particular, these two individuals have revolutionized actually the way the country cloth is being used. So we just want to thank you so much for what you're doing. Kathy, you wanted to add to that?
Yes, and it's just what's so beautiful and just so fascinating about the country cloth is the fact that these women, the artisans, the weavers, are sitting down, and it's so tedious, and they are hand weaving this fabric together. They're taking strands of thread and cotton to put fabric together. It's fascinating. And just from the point of conception, you have fabric, you put the fabric together, you weave them together, and you have, Emeka mentioned lapas, you have these long slabs of fabric, then you put that together, and then you design and create a coat, an outer coat. It's just beautiful. And that's what makes us unique, because we have something that can be taken from such simplistic techniques and reimagine it to something that's, usually reserved for more of your industrial types of machines. So we have something that's custom made, handmade, and made with all the love to retain our culture.
So what I'm hearing from Kathy is that there is a uniqueness around our culture as a people, right? And listen, we need to highlight these uniqueness about us. Something as simple as the way that even we wear our hair, that's a culture, right? And in books, movies are being written about these things. So we're hoping now that there's a movie written about Manja and the country cloth. We are looking forward to that. Yeah. Well, I would like to now, Kathy, this question is actually directed toward you. So according to blackenterprise.com, Black women are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in America. Tell us, what are some of the challenges you face as being a Black woman? And before you answer that, I just want to plug in here that the United States of America had its first female millionaire. We all know her, Madam C.J. Walker, right? And do you know how she made her money? Black hair, our culture, right? So this is something that, again, coming back to that whole idea of highlighting our culture, we succeed the most when we highlight what is unique to us, right? So anyway, based on that, please talk to us about what are some challenges that you face being a Black woman in business?
I think being a Black woman in being in business is to help us to proceed, to project and move forward, is when we have to get outside of ourselves, meaning ourselves, we have to create larger networks. And what I mean by that, we have to expand our circle of influence. So in order to expand our circle of influence, we have to connect with people that don't look like us or have similar experiences like us, because that's how we are going to learn and grow. That's how we're going to have access to information that we need to learn and grow. So I think for me as a Black woman and other Black women doing business, it's really important while we have our safety net, right? We are comfortable with our people. Our people is our people, and we are supposed to be able to support each other. But to really stretch and grow, we have to be able to be resourceful and get that information elsewhere, that we too, when we get it, we bring it back and then share it with our other Black women, all the information that we get to share with them to be able to learn, grow, and scale in their business. So I would just say, you know, a challenge, or not even more so a challenge, it's more of a call to action for all of us to be able to really step outside of our current nucleus and really expand our circle of influence to be able to get the resources and the information that we need to be successful in our businesses.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kathy. And what I'm hearing from you is network. And don't stay in your nucleus, continue to expand outside of where you are. And I know that when I had spoken to you a little bit ago, Kathy, you had mentioned that sometimes being a Black businesswoman is a lonely process. Tell me what you meant by that.
Yeah, so again, sometimes we can get into our own heads. So meaning we don't like to, because we feel like we have to take on everything ourselves. It's really important that we leverage help or ask for help and get the help from different types of people. So because we take on so much, and there's no way that you can expand or grow your business when you are doing everything yourself. First of all, you don't have the mental bandwidth or capability to be able to do that. And you need to really free yourself of everything to be able to help you to continue to think creatively and strategically and holistically for you to grow your business. So sometimes it can be lonely in the sense of we can take on too much of ourselves and feel like we have to do everything. And that's not the case. It's hard to sustain yourself when you are doing everything yourself.
Absolutely. And Emeka, so tell me, how has it been advantageous having a partner to start a business with?
Well, it is, I mean, usually when you have a partner, like I say, it's a relationship. The partner comes in to complement. So like you can go to bed sometime and say, there's somebody else going to handle a situation. But it's a combined effort of 2 or 3 different persons with different talents and different things that they bring to the table to make it work. Because you can have all the money, if you're not creative or if you're not innovative, it won't work. So you have to be that team. A partnership is usually a team that make it happen, and it is an advantage because both of you are like right now this partnership. We all talented in different ways. I'm a runner. Tell me, say you want this. I hit the streets. I don't care if it rains or shines or if it's in the worst part of the village, I'm there. You know what I mean? Kathy is the kind that takes it and make it beautiful and throws it out there, and everybody grabs it. So I stayed and I tried to stay in my lane and make sure she stays in her lane. And we collaborate, like we sit to the table and we put it together. We say, this is how we want it. Okay, I'll run. You do you, I do mine. And partnership is a team. Everybody on the soccer pitch has their own playing or on a basketball court. So for me, I know how to make it happen. I know how to deal with my people. I know how to drill them. I know how to get it out. I want it, I drill it. If I have to be there all night, mosquitoes bite me, I get malaria, I'm there. I want it, you know, and we keep it that way. So a lot of time partnership to me is just a team, a team that wants success. And once it holds together, it always will be a winning team.
Thank you, Emeka, for sharing that with us. Well, we've come to the point in our discussion where we would like to open the floor to a couple of questions from our audience. And I just want to give a plug for Black MBA. We do have this is pre-COVID. we used to actually organize a trip, right, for Liberia and Ghana, right? And we would visit different businesses in Liberia and Ghana, and I'm just so excited because now that we have Manja and we are collaborators now with the Manja collection, we will definitely be adding Manja to one of our stops once everything opens back up, as we tour, as we get ready to open back up and start international travel. So I'm just excited about this. So let us open up the floor to any questions. Please feel free to come off mute and ask any questions you may have. I'm checking right now the chat box, but please come off mute and ask Kathy or Emeka any questions you may have. Don't be shy. Someone put in the chat that empowerment is the key to differentiating your brand from the others. I agree.
Yeah. You have to empower people, and it's not a one-time thing. It's not a one-time event. You have to consistently empower people, because the situation in Liberia, this is a country that is experiencing severe poverty. And people have been through wars, civil wars, and there are people that are doing well, and there are a lot of people that aren't doing well. So the mindset is really, really different for different reasons. So it can't just be a one-time event with empowering the people, because while we are being able to get from them, the resources that we need for our products and our merchandise, we should be able to pour other things into them, apart from money, of course. And, in addition to money, we want to make sure they're paid, but we should be able to feed their spirit and their soul. And that's one of the things that I enjoy working with Emeka. He really drives hard, but he's really good with really empowering, the vendors, and he's really good with that, to empower them, to help them, see themselves in a way that they probably didn't realize they could be, so it's important.
And I saw that someone was trying to come off mute to ask a question. Please do.
You can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
My name is Billy Okoye. First of all, I want to congratulate Manja. I think you guys are doing a great job. I think coming off with a product that's got so much love. I think one of the ones that really caught me is when you said that the ladies are out there pouring it sweat and love into these materials, and you turn around and you bring it out to the US. Is your market, so my question is your market only to the US? Or are you targeted to other African countries? I mean, is this culture that's being shared to other African countries? Or is it just trying to US?
Great question.
Will be with the level of love and service and time put it into these materials, put it into the product generally. Is it affordable? I mean, it sounds to me like it's gonna be like challenging, be in the leagues of Louis Vuitton and Gucci. Is this, can we afford it? I hope we can afford it.
The fabric, you mean the coats?
The final product.
The final product, if we can afford that's.
Can the consumers afford it? I mean, because, like I said, the amount of love and time and everything that is devoted into it, is falling in the likes of the Louis Vuittons.
Well,
So
our price, yeah, sorry.
Go ahead, Kathy. So I'm going to let Emeka answer the first part of the question
Okay.
in terms of, sorry, I just went blank. But I'm going to have Kathy answer the question about affordability. But I would like Emeka to answer the question about, is this brand only, is it focused toward the US market, right? And, or are you targeting other segments of the population? So Emeka first. And you are on mute, Emeka.
Yeah. I mean, this brand is, from our marketing perspective, we want it to be all over. And in fact, that's why we didn't only set up a weaving and manufacturing. We came to Liberia and also launched the brand. We did a launch in Liberia a few months ago. And we're looking at expanding to Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, and other places in the next couple of months. Like, we're going to take advantage of the year of return Ghana, as well as Liberia at the end of the year, to have a Manja products there in Ghana, as well as Nigeria, the Nigerian fashion industry that we have some connections in. And we're pushing the brand. Like I said, this brand, for me, should be international. You know, next year, Liberia celebrates 200 years since the free men from the US came to Liberia. How can we infuse Manja into it? Is the concept. How can we tell our story using Manja? Because we rarely have anything to show, basically, most times. So we've been working with different artists, like it's a collection, you know, like the Cho pillows, the different things. And we hopeful between now to November to have a whole collection, from the coats to paintings to artifacts to home goods and everything, that the collection will roll out and celebrate the 200 years through the Manja collection. So it's going to be worldwide. That's the aim. You know, that's the aim and purpose. And I say this to you, I've researched, no African designer, no African have taken the traditional fabric and made it into other coats. We are trendsetters in that. And that's what most of them, even in Ghana, said is impossible. Even Nigeria, the guys are like, how is it possible? Because to them, it should be worn differently. So we've set up something like what you see me wearing right now. It's a Manja. I'm wearing a blazer, a safari blazer. You're wearing a coat, Kat is wearing a coat. So we're doing it different ways. And it's going to be moderate. But you know, one day when we get on our Louis Vuitton level, it's going to be Louis Vuitton prices. But for now, it's going to be affordable with all the love. It grows. It's marketing.
Perfect.
Kathy?
So Kathy, tell us about affordability of your.
Yeah, and also too, to add on about the, you know, we do want to expand in Africa as well, because I mean, Africa is home for us. And one of the things we're saying, we're trying to get Liberia back on the map, as on the forefront. The African fashion scene is a global force to be reckoned with right now. And so there are other countries that are really dominating that scene right now. And we just want Liberia to be a part of that, because we have something that's unique to Liberia. And so we're going to share that with, of course, our other African countries and internationally. Because if we're not sharing that, if home is not experiencing and enjoying what it is that we have, then we can't expect other countries or nationalities or other areas to enjoy it. So this is something that it's not only limited to the US. When it comes to affordability, that's one of the things that was really important to us. We wanted to have something that was going to provide good quality, excellent quality. And that's why we're very tough. And we're still getting there, because we're refining the process, you know, as we go along the way, because we want to produce something that is of top-notch quality that we can have at an affordable price. Our model is set up where eventually it will be different tiers. Just think of a designer, maybe not Louis Vuitton, but let's say a designer that, has their atelier at different price points, which will be at a higher price points. But then you have the affordable option that maybe for us, maybe we're not thinking Target, but just kind of like an H&M when you see designers do that. So we want to have certain tiers in our price points. We wanted to be available to all the markets, all the consumers, because we really want to tap into that market share. But then we also want to have a select group, right? Because a lot of people feel good when they have a little bit of exclusivity, when they have that, selectiveness of them, a refined bunch. So there is that group that would have, a certain garments that will be at a higher price point, because it's going to entail a little bit more detailed styling, productions, and so forth. But our ethos really is for it to be affordable to everyone. And that's why we're doing our best to keep costs as low as possible so we can keep it as affordable for everyone. I hope that answers your question.
No, it absolutely does. And it was a great question. And I just want to say that I had my coat pretty much, I designed my coat. I wanted like a double-breasted coat, and that was something that Manjo was able to deliver to me. And yeah, so I thought that it looked like someone else was trying to come off mute and ask a question. Please do.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Danielle Scott. How are you guys?
Hi,
Very good, Danielle. Welcome. Danielle's one of our board members, so we're so glad to have her join us today.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I've been enjoying the conversation quite some bit now, and I love what you're talking about the designers. But putting aside the Louis Vuittons, the more Caucasian brands, and talking specifically about the Black brands, like your brand specifically, I do like a certain level of exclusivity, like you mentioned, right? I think that's why some of the brands like Telfar and Brandon Blackwood and Anifa or Hanifa are so imperative and important for me to invest my money in, and much like this brand, right? But tell me about how you guys have to come together, both you and Emeka, to put together a social media presence or marketing spiel that is attractive to the people like me who say, hey, I have my money and I could give it to the Dior's of the world, but I'd rather put it back into my community.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great question. And we talk about this all the time. And that's the area that I truly love, and that's storytelling, because the consumer loves to be, to have some form of escapism, right? Like we want to go somewhere. So your product should take us somewhere. So one of the very first things that we did, our photo shoot when we first launched, it was really important for everything to be styled really well, up to par, because we want like someone like you, Danielle, to look at it, those images, and say, oh, that could be in like a Vogue, or that could be in an Essence or Ebony, very high fashion, very stylish. So everything that we do, with our marketing, whether it's on our social media platform, is to be able to have it on par with what's being looked at in the industry standards. So we try our best to really maintain that, because we are competing with people who are presenting their brand in a way that's capturing the interest of the consumers. So I hope I answered your question. Was that?
You did. Thank you.
Okay.
One more question, if I'm allowed to.
Yes, we have time. Go ahead.
I want to talk about thanks, Kathy, for educating us on forming a business overseas or international. Can you talk about product trademark? Have you guys kind of covered your trademark, making sure that no other person is able to come up with a country club and come up with another name and How do you cover that?
Yeah, so actually, earlier when I mentioned some of the other things on the list that we are getting to right now, one of them is trademark. So we've been, pricing, looking into that, and then and copyright, and looking to copyright, our name and our brand. So that's something that is on the list of things that we're in the process of attacking next level. So thank you for that. Because that's important. It is important because, one of the challenges that we've experienced already, right, Emeka? We had our weavers make the material, the country cloth material, done very well. And we created a coat, and we were someone accused, thought that the coat, because it was done really, really well, thought that the fabric was made in China. And interesting thing though, because guess what? Now the Chinese are massively producing these different ethnic fabrics in their country. So they're reproducing that. So it's good that you asked that, because that's something that we have on our radar that's concerning to us, because we need to really maintain the integrity and authenticity of our brand and the fabric that we're using, because we do not want people to have our brand mixed up with something that's made in China. I mean, there's a market for that, whoever do you, but for us, it's more so like we want to always say this was hand woven by a team of women, who are providing for their families and so forth to have these coats. So when it comes to like trademarking and copywriting, that's why something like that is really important, because it gets a little crazy out there. And even when you have those in place, you just need to switch things up by 10%, and it's not considered, copying. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I just want to circle back to Emeka, because Emeka had mentioned about he looks forward to the name of Country Cloth being changed to Manja. And I want to think about that in terms of, do you think you're taken away from our culture by wanting to change that name? And again, I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing, right? Because I think about something as simple as Kleenex. Whenever we think about, we say Kleenex, but that's actually the company. That's not. So do we want to take away the Country Cloth name from Liberia and then replace it with the name Manja? Is that a great idea? Just your thoughts on that.
Well, let's look at it from different perspective. There's different 16 tribes in Liberia, and predominantly the tribe from the northern end, which is out of Lofa County, are mostly heavily indulged into the country cloth. Now, Kathy grandmother on her maternal side, her mother's Gola. My grandmother on my maternal side is Gola Va. So the whole Manja thing is out of the Va kingdom, the Mende, and the Va and the Gola out of the Mende kingdom. So basically, most times I remind Kathy that whatever we're doing, we're promoting that culture. Because if you look at Kente comes from different region, but it's from the Ashanti region in Ghana. And the Ashantis, they promote their culture to the Kente. And like every Kente has a story in it. So we can be all over trying to promote, although we got people from the northern region making the country cloth, we also tell them, this is what we want. We wanted to tell this story, and this is the colors and what we want. So we are specific about that. But then there's different names of the fabric from different tribes. What we're going to do is try to sponsor a bill in the legislature among the artisans to say, let's find a name. We propose Manja. If we propose in this bill, we funding it. We want it to be called the Manja. Maybe somebody from Lofa would say, we are the biggest with it. We want it to be. but we're going to propose ours and they're going to propose theirs. Like you say, there's different fabric in every country. So in Nigeria, the Ashoke are the Yorubas, but the Igbos wear it. Everybody wears it. The Igbos have theirs. In South Africa, they got theirs. So we're going to propose ours. This is Manja. And then maybe if it gets to that level internationally, everybody would just be, because since we started the Manja brand, everybody like, oh, I'm going to get my Manja on. So you never know. You're not branding and pushing the brand. In a year or two, everybody would just be into it and calling it Manja. Because Country Club is just a name. And like everywhere in the world, they have Country Club. So we would like to change it. Maybe instead of COUNTRY, it could be KOUTRY. You know, it just have to differentiate to be a little bit more original instead of just being blanket Country Club. I just think it's lazy, the Country Club, instead of it being named. We've been researching their names for each of the region. And now it's time that we all sit to a table, designers, you know, copyright people, travelers, traditionalists, and say, let's find a name and sell this name internationally. Because during the last government administration, they put a couple of thousands of dollars into researching how to make this cloth better and comparable to others in the region. So there was some research done. So we're just going to push the name.
All right. So it sounds like you want to rebrand. I think I was hooked on the word change, but you want to just rebrand. Okay. So it looks like we have come to the end of our discussion today, and I would just like to have quick final like 30-second closing thoughts from both Kathy and Emeka, and just where they see their brand going within the next 2 to 3 years. And Kathy, when you do that 30-second, can you talk about, do you see yourself going after those investors as well? So Kathy first.
Yeah, so 30 seconds. Yeah, absolutely. Eventually it will be great to partner up, to have some type of investor, because one of the things that we talked about earlier, or we touched on, is we're looking to really bring that manufacturing piece to Liberia, so we can bring a lot of our all of our production in-house. And so not only just for the Manja brand, but to be able to do manufacturing for other brands. And then another thing too, and I'm sure Emeka would touch on it, we want to bring to educate. So we want to open up a fashion and creative trade school in Liberia, to be able to really bring the technical, because a lot of the artisans, they have that, a lot of things they've learned, by watching, by some form of apprenticeship, but we want to really bring that technicality aspect of their trade to them, so they can be on par with their international counterparts in their respective trade. So that's something, and Mike will probably talk about that, but that's something that we are really looking into, where we can teach, expose them to certain things, and inspire them. So
thank you, Kathy. Emeka?
Well, like Kathy said, I mean, my dream and our dream is a whole. I mean, I would like to see a factory. When I go to other countries and see major factory where major brands from around the world come to neighboring African countries and do. We don't have that here. We would like to have industry. We like the fashion industry. We have a tailoring industry, and we have a tailoring, a makeshift tailoring. You know, most times the Liberian product don't meet international standard because it is not from sizing to our own fabric to the way it is packaged to the way it's sold. And that's what we're trying to do, I mean, to stand out amongst others. So in the nearest future, we would like to set up that and attract major investors to Liberia, that they can come and say that's a fashion capital. Because come on, Liberians were one of the best dressed. I mean, we had people back in those days who style themselves and go to the regular tailors and stand out. What happened? The war has killed all this infrastructure. So we're striving for that in a year or two to be on that level. You know, like we're not trying to get rich. As Kathy would say, let's just try to get wealthy. But as we get wealthy, let's share the love and make everybody on our on your and feel good about themselves and get paid.
Well,
So that's where Manja is.
thank you, Emeka and Kathy. Well, we want to thank the Manja Collection for joining Black MBA this evening for our Wednesday webinar series. It has been a pleasure having you. We look to partner with you for future events and hopefully an in-person event so that we can actually have our members actually feel and touch your brands, your designs, your clothing and your coats and everything else. So we look forward to actually having you back in person. We want to thank all of our guests for joining us this evening. We want to thank our board members who are able to join us, and we hope that you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for having us. Yes, thank you.